recording? Okay. Call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would you please remain standing just for a moment of silence for all who died 80 years ago on D-Day? Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you. Thank goodness. We have no public hearings this evening, so we'll just start right off with the resolutions. So, Kim, would you start with the first one, please?
Resolved that the minutes of the Board of Trustees meeting of May 2nd, 2024 are hereby accepted.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye. resolved that the Justice Court, Police Departments, and Building Inspectors reports for Treasurer's report for April 2024 are hereby accepted.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
resolved that the warrant for May 31st, 2024, in the amount of $220,380.52, and the warrant for June 2024 in the amount of $255,334.23 from the general fund, and $97,038.81 from the capital fund are hereby approved.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby accepts the resignation of Evander Herrera as Traffic Control Officer effective May 25th, 2024.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes a retro adjustment of $3,000 in salary for the 2022 and 2023 and 2023, 2024 fiscal years for the Deputy Village Clerk effective June 1st, 2024.
Second,
All in favor? Aye.
resolved that Riley Strand is appointed as a seasonal traffic control officer to be compensated at a rate of $18 per hour to work as assigned by the Chief of Police effective May 15th, 2024, to be funded from the GL account code Apple 3120.109 Traffic Control Officer PS with an increase of $2.50 per hour effective June 1st, 2024.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby appoints the following personnel to the positions specified below at Rogers and Lashley Beaches for the 2024 season to be funded from account A7310.103 beach attendants with an increase of $2.50 per hour effective June 1st, 2024.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
resolved that the Clerk Treasurer Denise Bordenti is hereby appointed as Register of Vital Statistics for 2024 with an annual stipend of $350. And Maureen Jones is appointed as Deputy Registrar for 2024 with an annual stipend of $300 effective June 1st, 2024.
Second,
All in favor? Aye.
resolved the Board of Trustees hereby appoints Steve Flano to the Village Negotiating Committee for the continuing TBA negotiations on contracts effective July 1st, 2024.
Second,
All in favor? Aye.
I probably should have stayed.
Probably.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
play.
resolved that the Board of Trustees authorizes the mayor and the deputy mayor to sign two memoranda of agreements between the AME Union Blue and AME Union White Collar employees regarding the 2023 benefit fund contribution levels.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves change order number 1 for the American Recreational Products in the amount of $27,600 for the installation of a retaining wall at the Ria del Ben Playground.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the purchase of 4 pre-stroke tables and chair sets at the cost of $149 per set for the Maria Z. Moore Community Park to be charged to the Park Fund CM 7110.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, for this resolution, who's going to read it?
Kim.
Kim?
Yes.
Okay, you can, we were told by our legal counsel to include it in the minutes of the meeting, but if you just skip the first page and plus and start with findings and conclusions.
Sure.
Resolve, I think the resolve would be the.
Resolve.
right
Just the
place.
resolve would be enough?
Starting from the resolve would be the right place to start.
Okay.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees, having deliberated on the application and the testimony presented at the public hearing and other public comments received from the public and the materials presented by the applicant, hereby adopts the following findings and conclusions as its determination on the applicant's special exception permit application. The application is deemed complete for purposes of rendering a decision on the special exception permit. With respect to unit yield, the board finds under section 197-80.3.f of the village code that the proposed yield of 16 dwelling units is within the permitted maximum density under the code, and further finds under section 197-80.3.g of the village code that the proposed yield is consistent with the requirements of the code and therefore approved as the permitted yield. With respect to the affordable units, the board notes that the final plans appear to satisfy the requirements of section 197-80.3 of the code, subject to final review by the planning board to ensure that the affordable units are physically integrated into the design of the development and appropriately distributed in the same proportion as all other dwelling units in the development. The board finds that the requirements of section 197-79 of the code are met, including that the proposed special exception use will not prevent the orderly and reasonable use of the adjacent properties or of properties in the surrounding area or impair the value thereof, the safety, health, welfare, comfort, convenience, or the order of the village will not be adversely affected by the proposed special exception use and its location. And the special exception use will promote the general purposes and intent of this chapter. The board has considered the requirements of section 197-80 of the code and finds that the proposal does not raise any concerns that are incapable of being mitigated through the conditions and modifications described herein and as a customarily adopted by the planning board as part of its site plan review. Therefore, the board approves applicant's request for a special permit to the extent of 16 dwelling units, 13 market rate and 3 affordable units in 12 two-story buildings, 10 single-family dwellings with attached one-car garages, and 3-unit manor 2.
It should be two.
I was gonna say. 2 3-unit manor houses and associated site improvements collectively to serve as a multifamily development community, all subject to the completion of the site plan review process by the planning board and subject to all conditions as the planning board may reasonably deem appropriate. Provided the final plans are substantially in conformance with the final plans approved herein, applicant shall not be required to obtain a modified special exception permit. In the event further substantial modifications are made, as determined by the building inspector, applicant shall be required to obtain a modified special exception permit to reflect those changes prior to issuance of a building permit.
Second.
Thank you, Kim.
You're
All in favor?
Aye.
I apologize now. Whereas Renan Oddsmeyer has applied for a vehicle peddling permit to sell ice cream throughout the village pursuant to section 128-3 of the village code. And whereas the police department has reviewed and investigated the applicant and found no criminal history pursuant to section 128-4, and all requested documentation has been supplied. Now therefore it be resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes a vehicle peddling permit to Brereton Oddsmeyer, effective May 8th, 2024, and expiring on December 31st, 2024. As all other conditions in chapter 128-10 and 11, and 128-11 of the village code have been met.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
was it Elias Limbe? I don't know what it is. Sorry, and Battelle, I don't correct, have applied for a vehicle peddling permit to sell ice cream throughout the village pursuit of section 128-3 of the village code, and whereas the police department has reviewed and investigated the applicants and found no criminal history pursuit of section 128-4, and all request documents have been supplied. Now for be it resolved, the Board of Trustees hereby authorize a vehicle peddling permit to Elias Linden and Battelle, I can't spell his last name, sorry, effective May 21st, 2024, expiring on December 31st, 2024, as all other conditions in chapter 128-10, 128-11 of the village code have been met.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Whereas Sefa Yilma has applied for a vehicle peddling permit to sell ice cream throughout the village pursuant to section 128-3 of the village code, and whereas the police department has reviewed and investigated the applicant and found no criminal history pursuant to section 128-4, and all requested documentation has been supplied. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes a vehicle peddling permit to Sefa Yilma effective May 24th, 2024, and expiring on December 31st, 2024, as all other conditions in chapter 128-10 and 128-11 of the village code have been met.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
resolved that the West Hampton Beach Elementary School is hereby authorized to hold a special event, Bike to the Beach, for the fifth graders on Thursday, June 20th, 2024, from 9:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. as per route approved by the police department.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
resolved that Jackie Spada, 441 Dune Road is retroactively authorized to use the Lashley Bay side parking lot on Sunday, June 2nd, 2024, from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. for 28 cars, provided there is availability with village issued parking passes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that Vincent Fazio is hereby authorized to hold a dedication ceremony for the bocce courts in the Maria Z. Moore Community Park on Saturday, June 15th, 2024, from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. with the understanding that there is to be no alcohol allowed on the property.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
resolved that on May 2nd, 2024, the Board of Trustees accepted proposals submitted by Fabtex Inc. in the amount not to exceed $25,000 for the refurbishment of a Cotsmo payloader to be taken from GL account code A5110.402 repair of equipment expenses, with total expenses being $26,301.89. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the additional amount of $1,301.89 to be paid from the expense account of A5110.402 repair of equipment.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
whereas Jennifer Newbauer, local provisions, 121A Main Street, has applied for outdoor tables and seats permit for 2024 to replace 3 outdoor tables with 2 seats at each table pursuit of section 196-2 of the village code. So now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Trustees hereby authorize the placement of the outdoor tables and chairs on a submitted plan approved in 2024 and subject to conditions of section 196-2 of the village code.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Whereas Ricardo Kimona of Dave Spunenberger, 218 Mill Road, has applied for an outdoor tables and seats permit for 2024 to place 2 outdoor tables with 2 seats at each table pursuant to section 196-2 of the Village Code. So now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the placement of the outdoor tables and chairs as shown on the submitted plan approved in 2024 and subject to the conditions of section 196-2 of the Village Code.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Whereas Leaf Newbauer, tenant of the premise known as Collect, located at 83D Main Street, West Hampton Beach, Suffolk County Tax Number 905-11-2-10, has applied for a 2024 renewal permit for outdoor sales and displays pursuant to Chapter 140 of the Code of the Village of West Hampton Beach. And whereas there has been no substantial incidences or reports filed concerning said use, now therefore it be resolved that the application for outdoor sales and displays permit for 2024 is granted subject to the following conditions set forth in section 140-2A. A, pursuant to the planning board's report, there should be no placement of any signs or any items which reflect signage, and all items must be placed a minimum of 30 inches from the village right-of-way. B, no substantial deviation from the outdoor display plan shall be allowed without further approval of the Board of Trustees. And C, this permit shall be effective to November 15th, 2024, unless previously revoked, and the applicant shall be required to follow the renewal provisions set forth in section 140-2B of the Village Code for future outdoor displays beyond such expiration date.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Of the Board of Trustees hereby authorize the Joe Cozio annual 5K walk run event on Saturday, July 20th, 2024, from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. as per the route designated by the Chief of Police and the Board of Trustees approved, subject to receipt of insurance requirements and subject to the bridge closure from the Coast Guard.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the purchase of one DJI Mavic 3T drone from Fly Motion LLC from Sourcewell contract number 011223-FLM in the amount of $5,995.47 and $2,990 for software license to be taken from GL account A3120.2 police equipment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I would like to thank Liz once again for getting the grant for this drone. That was a very unexpected occurrence, so thank you.
Thank you, Liz.
And with
One more.
and one more, with deep regrets, I'd like to rebut, I'm happy. And, okay. Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby accepts the retirement of Deputy Village Clerk Elizabeth Linvet, effective July 1st, 2024. Maybe that was 34? Effective July 1st, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I would like to add to that, that this is Liz's last meeting. It's also Mr. Frano's last meeting. He is not running for re-election. They've been dedicated, hardworking individuals for many, many years in the village, and I will miss them sorely. I'm sure everyone else will. So I would ask that you stand once again for a round of applause. And wore a Hawaiian shirt just to give me a hard time. He's on vacation already.
Joey, you were supposed to say something. Never mind.
Okay. All right. So now we're in the public comment section. Does anyone wish to speak? If you just go to the podium and if, all right, and state your name and address, please, that would be appreciated.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Rose Pappalardo Shunk, and I live at 220 Sunset Avenue. And we also have the property next door for my sons, 218 Sunset Avenue. Okay. I am up here to ask if there's anything we could do about the excessive pesticide use in our village. I've had so many bad personal experiences. This week, I think it was Tuesday, Liz is my neighbor, I called her crying. Myself and my dog got sprayed. There's a tennis court in the back. There's a man in a hazmat suit and he just sprays all over. Every place you go up and down Sunset Avenue, there's those little yellow signs and
Yes.
dogs walk on it. And as far as I understand, we put a new sewer system in to catch all the runoff from the nitrogen, which is from the fertilizers and pesticides. And they're completely linked to cancer. I mean, and I had a whole packet I was gonna, but I just want to ask, is there anything we can do? I also got in contact with Senator Palumbo's office and they agreed completely. And they said, we can do a proposal. And we can get this moving. And Senator Palumbo is unbelievably upset that your dog got sprayed. They didn't talk about me, but my dog. My husband said, don't even bring up you got sprayed. I've had a sore throat for 3 days. But he said, do it on the local level. You're in a small village in West Hampton Beach. You guys could do this. Our village has become like all investment property. Oh, and the landscapers just they've taken over. They just ride their things, their mowers up and down. They're there 3 times a week. Everybody sprays everything. You taste it. It's that sweet gummy taste. I mean, dogs are getting sick. I mean, it's so dangerous. And we have the ability, from everything I've read, we have the ability in this village to actually do something. And we might be able to get state funding for it if we go like somewhat green. Is there anything we can do? And does anybody agree with me?
I have to say, I would hope that these are highly regulated.
I think they are.
And if they're not, we should look into this and look into ask our legal counsel and, right. Well, we have the ability to pass codes to a degree.
To a degree.
To a degree.
I don't assume anything because some,
Because I think I did a next door thing. I'm like, am I crazy or does anybody worry about these pesticides? Poison. I don't even want to go to SMB. Yellow signs. Blah, blah, blah. It's just like we're like now the toxic village. And next, I look and after they sprayed and I have my store, everything's going on. I see they rent their house out and there's little kids sitting on the grass. It's unbelievable how bad our village is with the spraying. And it's all over Main Street too.
we're not talking about village spraying itself. You're talking about village residents.
About village residents, mostly investment properties that people have, which is now West Hampton Beach Village, which used to be the most spectacular little gem that I love. And also all the little yellow signs everywhere, and they're all also on village property, which I don't think is right. And I think to set an example. No, but don't you hire people for like around the gazebo? All those flowers, there's little yellow signs all along Main Street.
Within that.
But wouldn't you be the one to say, don't use, because there's so many green things we.
Matt, do you have any information?
Just for, it's actually fish oil, but because they spray something and people don't know that, they have to put the yellow placards out, which they regulation. But nothing on the village-owned property, as far as I'm aware, of, is zero pesticide.
Yeah, 'cause that's what I was just gonna say that we don't use the chemical portion.
Natural products, and I guess I'll talk privately about this. People who wear hazmat suits, the tennis court in the back is like, we have no ants, no butterflies, no bees, and in the last 3 weeks, every single bird is gone out of my yard. And I have like binoculars and bird books and bird feeders and plants and lavender, gone. And this has been like this since they purchased the property. But it's not just my property. It's everywhere.
Down at 263.
How could we do this to this? I mean, my husband was raised here.
That people,
No,
homeowners know what.
I
the
don't
plans
either.
are.
That
I
would
think
be,
people want their yards to look a certain way, which is great, but at what detriment? And what can the village say if you hire a landscaper, A,
I think you raise a very good point.
do I sit?
No, that's right. No, it's just, it's mostly, if you wish to speak, please go to the microphone.
sorry,
That's all right. It's just for the recording issues and yes, I don't blame you at all. You raise a very good point, and I think it merits our looking into it with legal counsel and other options and see how we can, either deter this or slow it down or something. So
This
it's
is a lot of other regulations that are regulated by the state DEC involving pesticide use and the application of it. And we can't violate we can't,
What Senator Palomo said is that we can change our codes in our little village.
yeah,
That's what I'm looking
Yeah.
for.
Yes, but just to be clear, there are certain areas of the law that are, we call it preemption. So if the state preempts local codes, there are many areas of the law that the village cannot regulate. Liquor authority, for example, the village can't regulate the sale of alcohol because that's only done at the state level. And
Right.
I don't know the answer, never having
What he
researched.
said was if we start or whatever, at the same time, put in the proposal, he will take care of it from that point, but it will take a long time.
Yes.
yeah, we gotta start.
Just
it
saying,
has to
we gotta
start somewhere.
look, we have to
Yeah.
research to see if it's something we can even do.
No, I think
Actually, if we're starting, I wouldn't mind us being the first village to do something about it, but we also are in the mayor's organization and the mayors and supervisors organizations that we participate in. And it could be more of a local kind of an effort if we, once we establish what we're able to
Yeah,
do.
which I think would be better as a regional thing because we want to protect the environment.
Right.
and-
But you have to
But
start.
you have to start with the little village,
Right.
but if we can get like
Right.
the whole East End to do it, it's that
Yes.
much better.
Researching. Thing about somewhere up the island toward the city, there's this whole cluster of cancer, and there's all these reports. And then I was thinking, like, what about like the high school kids who love stuff, like start them, and then Stony Brook has a whole thing about, like,
Right.
it could be so.
It's redone, but it's just,
My grandchildren, to live next door, and honestly, it's just not, it's so detrimental on our street. I mean, it's awful. It's awful. There's like.
We will look into it.
I really appreciate
Okay.
it. Thank you
And
so much.
if you email us or email me for an update at some point, I'd be happy to do that.
Get people on
Okay,
the
good.
grassroots level.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else wish to speak?
That's-
Oh. Okay.
Here, so I'm not emailing you separately. I've had several experiences down at the beach as of people that I've talked to. What are the new beach rules? Because we were all here and we all heard that you passed a second pass for $40. No complaints about that. But every person you speak to at the beach has a different rendition and keeps sending it back to this board as to what the new rules are.
There are no
Okay, so what-
rules.
Get it?
The rules are being more rigorously enforced. Let's put it that. Well, basically, the residents are entitled to tax-paying residents and renters if the owner releases their passes to the renters. They're entitled to 2 passes. The first one is free. Second one is now $40. That's the only thing we changed. Yes, the parking passes. Then you have the walk-on passes, which are separate entities. Car passes. The commercial properties, same thing, No, nothing has changed. It's just that they are non-transferable. They have always, it's always been non-transferable in, well, it can get very complicated.
To a caregiver, who is allowed this?
Aaron, if you, if you have a property, it is very confusing because there are so many different aspects and situations. If there is a property owner that owns a home here and owns a home in Florida, and their vehicle is registered in Florida, they are still entitled, even though that vehicle is registered in Florida, it's associated with the property owner up here. So they are entitled to the free pass. What I mean by transferable, I'll use myself as an example. I'm entitled to 2 passes. If I wanted to buy my second pass and then give it to my nephew who lives in Riverhead, that would not be allowed.
Okay, your nephew goes away to school, comes and lives with you every summer. Transferable or not transferable to him?
I would say no. We're trying to cut back. Let me introduce the reasoning behind this.
I'll ask you one more question before you introduce me to the reasoning. You have a child who goes away to school, registers their car away at school. They come home every summer. Transferable or not transferable? Right, this is the problem.
It's
See,
problem.
because I can tell you, you can go up and there's 5 people at the beach and each one of them gives you a different answer.
We're trying to cut back on abuse. That's what we're trying to cut back on. Okay, and we've had a great deal of, a number of complaints about the abuse of people giving or selling their passes, their parking passes to other people, giving or selling. So that's why we're trying to narrow it down to make sure that it's affiliated. So, well, let me get, if you just let me make my point. Several years ago, 10 years ago, I suggested to the board at the time, everybody's entitled to 2 passes. Why not just, you get the tax bill, put the 2 passes in there, send it off, and you're done. Okay, there's a problem. And it was explained to me at the time, and now I agree with the situation. Right now, we give out approximately 3,000 passes. Parking,
Yeah.
yes, okay. If we did it this way, we would be giving out 5,000 parking passes. If we did it through the tax bills, those 2,000 people, most likely that get their passes that have no use for them, didn't use them before, would either give them away or sell them. Now we have 5,000 parking passes instead of 3,000 parking
That's what
passes
you're doing.
issued.
Yes.
Yeah, issued for, we have 300 parking spaces.
At the beach,
Beach,
both beaches, yeah.
both beaches.
So you're limited to,
So we are already pushing our luck in the number of passes we
Except for
give out.
basically, last year there was no overage, and usually it's July 4th and Labor Day.
You have July 4th, Labor Day. Pre-COVID, we did have instances where people were lining up down Dune
remember
Road,
those days.
okay? The police trying to get people to move on. They were arrogant, refused, didn't want to. They wanted to wait in line for their spot. We also have the situation, we have many housing projects on tap. And we will have an additional, probably at least 80 units that will be entitled to passes coming online that don't exist right now. So we have to monitor the way we give out the passes. And if you have a good suggestion, we're more than willing to consider it because this has been a very difficult thing to, we've been looking at this for as long as I've been on the board. Every year, we got to do something about the beach pass. We have to do something about the beach pass. And to get something concrete and something easily understood is very difficult. And
We
so,
nailed the app, I can totally understand that. You use, even though I do things originally. that I
It
wouldn't
makes a lot of sense. Yes.
giving it physically. Of those same people, I would also tell you, that may do that, they're also not coming down. So,
Well,
that's two passes, you're now like saying you're giving it to 2,000 people and maybe 50 of them will sell them. But my point is, you've given out the 2,000 and maybe 50 would do that. But that's not the same as coming down to get your two passes with the
That's,
and being able to put
That
them
is
in whatever part. I mean, that's taking another step that those people have to do. I guess my problem is also, I'm commercial. I'm allowed two passes. I have two cars. This is not about me. It's literally about listening at the beach for days now as to the different stories that have been, some people who have been
confusion
allowed,
has been,
some people who
a lot of
haven't.
people are saying we changed the rules. We did not change the rules.
No, we
No,
didn't change the rules.
We
We're
just
enforcing the
We're
rules that were already
enforcing the
there.
existing.
There was lack of enforcement.
One, stop at one person.
Oh.
Yeah.
Being told, not a taxpayer on the bill, they can't get it. I'm being told if it is the same name, but they're registered somewhere else, they can't get it. I mean, these are all, I have a friend who, I mean, she's small, but she's in her 40s. She owns the house. She went down for her pass, and the first thing that she was told before she even produced her paperwork, if you're the child in the house and your parents own the house, you can't get a parking pass. She owns a house on Seafield. Her parents do not.
Basic concept is you have a property and you own two cars, you can get two passes. And if you only own one car, you're entitled to one pass. And that's the basic concept, but there are all these, specific, situations that are very difficult to navigate. Well, one that has dealt with it the most consistently and the most, I guess the most consistently, best way to say it is Mr. Johnson. He deals with this all the time and he tries very hard to be fair and consistent. And he has even brought up some situations to me. And just as an example, he said that there was a parent-child relationship. And he was denying the sticker to the child. I said, well, it happened to be an ambulance driver. So,
So wait a minute.
So that-
This is in place of the ambulance drivers?
well, the ambulance driver is entitled to two stickers.
But
So,
ambulances are smaller, it's
wait.
bigger now.
well, maybe
What's for
they're
you?
residents. Yes, you're right. You're right. The resident and an ambulance driver. That's, yeah. Anyway, he was denying the sticker to the child. And I said, what if the reverse was true? The child was the ambulance driver and the parent, if it's age discrimination. So then we came to the fact that, arrived at the conclusion that yes, it should be allowed. So different situations are very complicated.
What you're doing is you're putting 15 and 16-year-old kids in a position with angry
Well,
people because they're all
Right,
being.
that shouldn't be happening.
That should be
There
happening. They should be going
there
to
should be-
Sean or.
There should be one of three people there.
Was with a child. On one side, by the way, was Sean, and on the other side was Mike Poland. And neither one of them interjected. So that's the problem to me. That's a problem.
That's another issue. That has nothing to do with rule,
Yes.
It's unclear what the rules are. You can't argue with you to sit there and argue with.
Sean Johnson is the most consistent. Yeah.
And I will tell you, the three adults down there have very different interpretations. You got three adults down there, and they all have different interpretations. And I still ask the same question.
We did have some of that in the beginning and we have spoken to them about that. And we did.
Yes.
I mean,
Okay.
I've gone down for my passes and I won't until it's offered during the week, and I'm assuming they're not gonna take it during the week because it's not an option I have. I can't take a weekend day off to go get a pass.
See period where we don't take
Until
it.
they're open during the week. I would assume during the week parking is, not gonna be enforced. If I'm there on a weekend, I'd have time to get a pass. But I still go back to the same question. Nanny, caregiver, someone who comes in.
Isn't registered. That, to me, that's the same as me giving it to my nephew.
Okay, but I would say as a commercial tenant, I'm allowed to authorize a tenant. So if your nephew comes and stays with you, why as a resident are you not allowed
If
to
you-
authorize your
if you have a
nephew?
Commercial property and it's an apartment complex, yes.
No, not an apartment complex. If I have a tenant in my office, I can say I don't want one of my stickers. There's a,
Oh,
And give it
you give it to one of my tenants. So if your nephew was staying with you, Why as a resident are you not allowed the same thing?
I have a question though. Is this about the parking pass, not the walk-ons?
Parking, nothing
Because
to do with
walk-ons you
parking.
could write for
About
food.
parking.
So for the parking pass, I think like Ralph said, is that, I understand your point is that kids come home from college, they register in college, or they're grown and they're living home, coming home, nanny, family member that's living with you, taking care of your dogs, just something, right?
Yeah.
But I think we just have to come up with, or if anyone has any ideas, how to come up with how to mitigate the people that are taking advantage of
I
just handing
Sorry,
it
I
out.
agree with you, but the problem is that people aren't taking advantage
Yeah.
of being penalized right now and it's June.
Yeah, it's
And
too
it's
late
not
this
gonna be
season.
resolved unless you give instructions down
We'll
there.
speak to
Yeah.
Sean and see if we can,
It makes
some
no
of these, if we have a way to talk about these very special situations more and see if we can come out with an equitable way to handle them.
situation. If you have your, what makes no sense is that I, as a business owner, can give it to one of my tenants, but you can't give it to your nephew who's living with you. I understand the nephew living in Riverhead. I'm not saying that. Relative who comes and stays with you for the summer.
A lot of those situations, people tend to abuse it. A lot. There's no way to verify them.
It shouldn't be. And I have to tell you, when I met Jetty Forgo, I've parked once in the last 3 years on Bayside. Once. So even that one is almost never full. I mean, again, I'm not there on Saturdays and Sundays, don't get me wrong. But if you ask my Tony, if you ask the kids,
Only during the week there is the less, but on the weekends, yes.
it's gonna give them across the street. I mean, look,
But we do want to avoid, yeah, we do want to avoid residents coming up to a full parking lot and being frustrated and not being able to go to the beach.
and extending the licensed, the permitted parking up beach instead of having that be freebie parking for walk-ons.
Not only that, but other things have been considered, having, and this, I got a lot of flack for this too, is having beach, parking on the opposite side of beach. There's plenty of room,
Oh, is it only on, it's only on?
it's only on one side, and increased parking on the other. But those are all things, we had a contingent of residents on that side of the beach object to that. So
Yeah.
Sure, if I lived there, I might say the same thing.
it is,
That's,
we did not change the rules. We will consider changing the rules. If we
Yeah.
get a good idea or a good way to manage this, a better way to manage this, we are very open to it. So, but I will speak to Sean, and see if there are any outstanding,
I would not be accepted if I had kids and a nanny. I would want my nanny to be able to take my kids to the beach on the weekend. And if I thought to do my second van, I would not want to have to take my nanny's car to work so that she could drive my car for a pass. Same as if I had a caregiver.
unfortunately, that's the thing about it is, that's a very viable thing, what you're saying. But unfortunately, people want to abuse that. Oh, this is my nanny, who happens to be a friend of mine that lives in Remsenburg.
I get it.
It
I totally
happens
get it.
every day it happens.
I get it. But
And
there's
that's
gotta
the
be
reason the
someone-
rules are that, because the
Well,
people are
You have a
abusing it.
very good
if you have,
point.
you have a good point, and if you have a solution, we're
I
more than.
mean, I can tell you, my nanny would be taking a car to the beach every day with my kids. I would not be accepting it if I had a husband and was allowed a second sticker. I mean, somebody who works on the weekends who, what am I gonna switch cars with a nanny? I mean,
I have a related question about the parking.
Uh,
So we,
Well, you get to, what's your name? And,
Elise Arrow, 263 Sunset.
okay.
We had a rental car last summer and this summer, and we were denied the pass. So I understand that's unique, and I don't have an answer. I don't have a solution. I noodle it tonight. So we parked, we got stuck when the bridge was up. But, if you show your identification, I'll bring my tax thing to the beach and I'll bring a pass, but.
Did you bring your rental agreement for the car and?
Everything. And they said you don't get the sticker because it's not affixed to a car. And the car isn't registered to my house, but I'm not registering a car in West Hampton anyway.
I think that's the issue that they're going to mitigate, that people live in Manhattan and come out here, their cars registered in the city, say they can't get past. If
Well,
it
that
has
should
your
be,
co-
that
has
should be
your name on
consistent
it,
with the
that-
people
that-
that have
I don't
cars
know,
registered in
the city.
Florida, so, okay.
Yeah, because the rental car can, the thing, Bob, is the rental car can change. You can turn that rental car in.
Driver's license,
Yeah.
tax,
You rent the car for a week, you turn the car back in, some other person rents the car, that sticker is still on that car.
It's because it's a fixed
Yeah.
there, I know it's another unique thing, but there.
And that's,
In once in 2000.
yeah.
It's not an easy.
Right.
Beach full park.
Yes.
Maybe they can issue something for your front window, like a temporary pass. Just for the, because she's a taxpayer.
The
That makes
entire
it,
summer?
they did, right? Yeah, I thought they did too.
That's where if you had a rental agreement,
Yes.
stick with that car for the entire summer. With a different car. That's what the issue is. You got too many different cars.
Yeah.
That'd be, yeah.
If I invitation, I'm not gonna hand the sticker to somebody else. And if I did that, I should be fined a lot of money or I should just beat the beach parking privilege.
An idea, I have an idea, but I don't think it'll fly. Facial recognition. Facial recognition and AI and all that, well. Okay. Tearing the place apart here.
Well, they brought up a lot of points.
Yes, they did.
I said, as Sean and Mike were taking the abuse down there, that they should just tell everybody, hold on, we're calling the mayor and he's coming down to talk to you.
Sean has called the mayor on it.
You didn't go down, did you, and handle the people that were screaming?
I was down
last week.
twice, but
Talking to you.
What? I went down twice, but,
Okay, here's a
Go
couple
ahead.
of things, all right? Because I think this is the most screwed up thing, and I think you really screwed
has
the
been.
residents. You screwed the residents. That's the bottom line. When you decided to make this change,
didn't change the rule, Joe.
I-
It's always
but-
been, but go ahead.
but you never explained the rule. People didn't know these rules. They were never hard and fast, and you never looked at
Yeah.
what the variable. I'm getting
Go
beach
ahead.
stickers for 23 years, okay? You never explained any of the variables to anybody ever. When you were getting ready to do all of this, okay? Did you have a meeting like with Mike and Sean and Tom, who's been down there 35 years, and talk about what could happen, what might not, what is the best way to handle this? Or did you and the trustees just say, well, we think this is a good idea?
To be honest,
Yeah, I want you to be.
we had a meeting.
Because I'll
with
go
Sean.
ask them.
Go ahead. We had a meeting with Sean and Sean came to a couple of work sessions. Actually, he missed one and came to another. But yes, we did have work sessions.
I
We
go to
did
all of them.
discuss it.
Say
But
whatever you
Yes,
say.
we did meet with him, we did talk with him, we did get input. The only thing we actually changed was the $40 for the second sticker. We didn't change the rules, as I said. We are trying to enforce the rules a little more rigorously. That's all.
It's my opinion that of the thousands of beach car stickers, I bet the percentage of people that abuse it is very, very small. That's number one. Number two, you're all concerned about how busy the parking lot is. All right. How many times have you driven down and not been able to park?
Pre-COVID, a few.
Not
Recently, no.
pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Don't talk
recently,
about,
no.
that's
Recently, no.
ridiculous. That's like Fauci still talking about wearing masks. Go ahead.
Recently, none, but we want to be careful of this. We don't want to do what I suggested and have 5,000 stickers out there. I think that would be a
I
very
don't
bad
think you
idea.
ever would.
So
I don't
but
think
we
you
do
will.
have to come up with an equitable, easily understood.
You know,
way
even
to
if you go
proceed.
down and the lot is full, 20 minutes later, there's spots, or an hour later, there are. And it's so rare that that parking lot is jammed and you're going to be lined up all the way down Dune Road. It really is.
Because
I think I'm
it does alarm me that we're giving out 3,000 parking stickers for 300 parking places. That to me is,
You've been giving out parking stickers
know.
all these years and it hasn't affected the 300 parking
well,
places.
yes.
My thing on the whole thing is, you're a tax resident, you get 2 stickers. You're paying, you get one for free, you're paying $40 for the other one. Who cares what cars you put it on? As long as you come down and you validate, this is the car with the license plate number on it. That's it. We're making more of this than what it is. We're spending so much
That's
time
right.
on
Go back
something
to
right
what
now.
it's,
We
yeah,
have more bigger things to fry in this community than worry about parking stickers. I mean,
right.
that's so, every taxpayer comes down and gets two stickers, because the people at the beach are making decisions that they shouldn't be making. Honestly, because there are a bunch of young kids down there. They really don't know what they're talking about. They're being rude. I'm standing online. I went down there with my wife to get one for our car. They're standing online. They're being rude to people. They're standing at the window there. So this is making more of it mountain out of molehill. I mean, bottom line is, you get 2 stickers. You get one for free. You pay your $40.
Right.
What cars you're putting on? Here's your ID. Here's the registration. Here's the plate number. That's it.
They should be able to put they do put the plate number.
It doesn't, we're making so much emphasis
Absolutely.
on, we have so much
Absolutely.
bigger problems to deal with than having to deal with.
Absolutely.
You get, if you're a taxpayer, you get, no, it's not, but it's not even that. We're subjecting, the police department's gotta go down and mitigate something, because in hostile and violent, something's gonna happen. When these kids are gonna get hurt or beat up or something else is gonna happen.
That's,
then how do
the
you
kids
fix
should
problem
not,
every day?
yeah, the kids should not be put in this situation,
They're
for
being
sure.
put in a position that they really shouldn't be
Right.
put in.
Right.
Lowering our taxes, so we've been getting I told you 3 months ago, you have taxpayers, it's very difficult to take something away from them when they're still paying
Well,
taxes. And
We
I
had
have
the
to totally
justification
agree
when
with
we
Rob.
had the budget discussions and all that.
A survey, and I bet everybody will agree with Rob. So I'm going to change the subject. I have other things. Correct.
So much emphasis on something that we're not gonna be able to control. We're gonna, but if you go and give 2 passes, that's it. You pay your,
Yes.
you get paid your $40 and
Exactly.
that's it.
Good. Can I go get my second one now? Yes.
You only have one car.
I have one, but I have a niece that comes every weekend. We go.
Judge and jury, we're not-
All right. Exactly. Okay, I'm gonna move on to other stuff unless do we have more to say? You guys agree with us, right? I have a soft spot. I just don't show it. You, I know, you're a snake. Okay, all right. The retro pay adjustment. Since whenever we do some of these things, we never put a name. I mean, I am assuming that that's Liz.
Well, Liz was the village clerk.
She's now,
she is
we
now
have
the
listed as the
yes, it
deputy
is
village clerk.
the current
Okay.
deputy village clerk, who previously was the
I
village clerk.
know all that.
Yes, that's Liz.
Okay.
Yeah.
The retro adjustment of 3,000 in salary for 2022 to 2023, when she was the village clerk,
Correct.
and then 23 to 24.
Correct.
Is it 3,000 for both times?
1,500 for each year, total
So
of
it's
3,000.
So in
For the 2
two
years.
Yeah, total
Okay.
of 3 years.
And why are we doing this?
Well, because in the department head's contract, like the police chief's contract, and department heads contract, she's considered a department head. The minimum wage increase they're supposed to get is supposed to equal whatever, for example, police chief, his minimum raise is whatever the PBA negotiates. It could be higher than that. Liz was supposed to get what the staff got, and they got a 3% raise plus a fixed stipend way back when they negotiated the
She didn't
contract.
get
She got
3%.
the 3%, she didn't get the fixed portion. So this is just making up the fixed portion. And that
You
was
just found-
discovered,
you just found
we just found it out when we were working on her,
When you stuff. Where did you take the money from, the $40,000 that you didn't use for the beach?
we have other funds, thank you.
No, I mean the 40,000 that was supposed to
So there are
pay
contingency
all of the
funds.
beach people,
Actually, we're,
and then you cut them down, so.
we have funds for salaries for unfilled positions at this point, right now.
Okay.
So it's in the salary line. It's being
Because
used for this.
so I know in May you did it for 2 other department heads,
Correct.
okay?
And that was in the budget
I'm,
previously.
that's passed. I
Yes,
questioned that a month ago.
Yes.
Correct.
How does that, do any, well, this is a tough thing to ask you. Maybe I shouldn't ask it in a real live meeting. How does this affect the morale of like just regular people working that aren't department heads?
Oh, that they're getting an equal raise to what
No, I
they
don't
already
know.
got, the staff
I'm
already got?
asking you.
Oh,
Is there any fallback on any of this?
no.
No?
Not that I know of. I think
Because
it's
the
pretty
rank
well,
and file
pretty
do a
well.
lot. They do.
done.
Good.
Yes, they do. But they understand that their superiors are entitled to at least the same
get
type of raise that they are.
Got it. Okay.
Yes.
When is the Ria Del Bene playground going to be done?
We hope this month,
End of
end of
June?
June. Yes.
Well, because
Given no delay.
I have a toddler coming in July, that's why.
Okay. It'll be ready for July.
Dropping him off and picking him up. Who all is on the village negotiating committee?
That's Steve
Who's on
Fennell
it?
and myself.
That's it?
Well, and our attorney, Richard Zuckerman, our labor attorney that we.
Zuckerman? You still have him, wow.
Yes. Yes, we use Richard Zuckerman. We refer things to him, questions or.
Right,
and-
I know him.
Yep.
you know.
Okay, so that's who it is.
Steve is no longer going to be a trustee at the end of
Correct.
this month.
Correct.
And
that's
he's
why-
also going to be splitting his time between here and the Carolinas. So is he flying back when there's an important meeting? How is this?
Anticipate negotiations to be finalized hopefully by
Before he
September, October,
leaves?
before he goes. Yes.
before he-
We're close to the end.
Should it?
The reason we did that is because we're so close. We're at the final end stages.
Because my personal opinion is that a trustee should be on it. And if you're not going to be one, I mean, I love you, Steve. I think you do a lot of nice things, but I don't think you should be on it.
I agree with, I understand, and I understand what you're thinking, but what it was, we talked about, we're so close. In order to change over to another trustee on the thing, would put it behind months. When I think we're just a couple weeks away, depending upon,
So by June 23rd, you'll be done and you'll have done the negotiations and that's it.
Anything's possible.
anything's possible. As you know, Mr. Zuckerman has control of it right now.
Whatever.
It's in Mr. Zuckerman's
Okay,
hands
but
right
what-
now,
what-
so
what-
waiting for his
what-
response.
Get an answer to Rob's suggestion.
I'm gonna go talk to Sean and see how we can mitigate this problem. We are not going to change the rules this season. We are trying, as I said before, we're trying to enforce the rules that exist. And if there are some inconsistencies in that, we'll try and work those out.
You really could make it a lot easier if you guys voted to do what Rob said, which I think is a terrific idea.
Well, it's too late for this meeting right now.
Well, you don't have another meeting in June, which means the whole summer will
We
go
have,
by.
we have the organizational on July 1st.
Right.
Yep, and no work session before then.
That I know. I have
Right.
your schedule.
So
I would like to have this be a well thought out rather than a knee jerk reaction. So
To the way it
government
was.
suffering over the summer because of this.
I, I will talk to Sean.
Okay, well, if you
Okay.
can't do it, and why don't you give us all a 10% cut in our taxes?
Oh, just you, Joe.
First.
Yeah, you're
Anyone
also-
else wish to speak? Did you? Anyone else wish to speak?
You just said your
Come on.
revenue.
Come on up, please.
Was it ever?
What's your revenue?
It was like that.
Few things.
Sorry, your name?
Iris Keitel, 9 Meadow Lane, West Hampton Beach, and I've had the house for almost 40 years. And this is the first time I've ever been denied my second sticker. So you lost $40 from me, and I don't know how much you're losing in denying people their second sticker. And happen to be one of the people that was told by a 15-year-old maybe that the rules changed and I can't have the second sticker because somebody's coming to live with me for the summer.
Okay. It shouldn't be handled, it should not be handled by a 15-year-old at all. I'm sorry.
So I said, well, what
So,
if I elevate this
because they-
person to my daughter? Nothing, there was nothing I could say. And nobody jumped in to say or to help this child who clearly did not know what they were talking about.
Okay.
And I do think also you are losing revenue. Oh, and by the way, speaking to your pesticides issue, I've done organic spraying for almost 40 years. And I resent when my neighbors spray next door.
There's no butterflies.
Just so, just, I'm with you.
Okay.
See, everybody feels the same way.
We just have to raise the issue. It's out there.
Anyone else wish to speak? On, okay. We do have an executive session. I'm so close. Yes, Joe. Do you want to go to the podium again, please? Well, yeah, well,
Do I do know people who their cars are registered elsewhere who went and got a sticker with no problem.
This year?
Yes,
This year.
this year.
Yes.
This is
Yep.
the problem.
Yep. And they said, oh, we know you, and they got it. They didn't have to show the
okay,
registration. Okay.
thank you.
And it's happening. So you got,
One last
Well,
you got
we do have an executive session. One, you promise it's the last?
and taking a look. at the Number of residents that only have one pass and the lost revenue caused by the $40 from.
Well, there was no revenue previously. Yeah,
To generate revenue.
yes.
You're not generating anything.
they put the 40,000 in the budget as income.
You're not getting it because everybody's being told no.
Well, actually, we're at, early on, we've gotten a report from Sean and we have almost 20,000 already. So, and you haven't issued all the stickers yet. Whatever. But anyway. All right.
Just
Take a deep breath. Anyone else wish to speak? Okay, then,
Make
I
a
would
motion,
like
we close the meeting, and
go
go
into
to
exec-
executive session.
go into executive session. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
Village Pond?